Steve, all right? Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the meeting, Audit and Governance Committee meeting on the 4th of December 2025. Thank you for joining. We have some apologies, but come to those in a moment. We're live webcasting today, so can I remind members to use their microphones and turn them off when not speaking, and mute your phones as well, please. Okay, on to the and we know Joe, by the way, is joining on Teams, so welcome, Joe. Thank you very much for joining us. And we also have Mark joining from our external audit firm, so thank you, Mark, for joining. On to our agenda. Firstly, item 1, are there any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've received apologies of absence from Councillors Abbott and Yardy, but also we've received apologies from Councillor Rake. Thank you.
Okay, who's deputising for Councillor Rake? Is there anyone?
I think it's me, Chair, in terms of introducing the reports.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Perfect, appreciate that. Okay, item 2, the minutes, and here we have the minutes of the committee on the 9th of October and the Audit and Governance Hearing Subcommittee decisions on the 9th of October as well. Are there any comments, firstly, on the minutes of the meeting, the Audit and Governance Committee meeting on Thursday, 9th of October? Can I take those as approved then?
Thank you.
Okay. And presumably we're noting the minutes of the hearing subcommittee, hearing into the Code of Conduct Complaints RP 544243, also on the 9th of October. Do we note them?
Yes.
Okay, so we're noting those minutes of the hearing. Thank you. Okay, item 3, urgent business. I don't think there are any items of Chair's urgent business. Item 4, division of the agenda. We will have a part 2 for agenda item 9, progress on the internal audit plan. And I think we'll also cover in that part 2 one of the items on the work plan, which we'll come to in due course. Okay, thank you. Item 5, declaration of interest. Members, are there any declarations of interest for this meeting? Okay, thank you. None. Item 6, Bishop Fleming. So, Mark, over to you. Perhaps you could introduce your report and take us through the key points, and then I'm sure there'll be some questions and points of discussion. But I appreciate you coming and thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Chair. So the report you've got in front of you is our auditor's annual report. So just to note, this is the draft report at this stage. So similarly to last year, it will be finalised once the opinion has been issued on the audit of the financial statements. So you'll see there's a couple of sections referring to the audit opinion. So once that opinion has been issued, this report will then be finalised. But the content of the report in terms of the narrative and conclusions on arrangements are not going to be changing at all. So this report covers our work on value for money. So the Code of Audit Practice requires us to look at 3 reporting criteria under value for money. So that's financial sustainability, governance, and what we refer to as the 3 E's: improving economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. So our report starts on page 13 of your packs, I should have said. If I can refer to page 17, the executive summary, we've got in tabular form there the conclusion and our findings there across those 3 theme areas, and that's including the findings from last year. So the bottom line is it's RAG rated as green across all 3 areas. So really positive result. That means that we haven't identified any significant weaknesses in the council's arrangements, and we also haven't made any improvement recommendations on any areas at all. So, as I said, it's very positive. We don't get that on many councils' auditors' annual reports. I wasn't proposing to go through the detail of the report in terms of detailed commentary. So I will pause there and take any questions that members have got at that point.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I mean, I just want to emphasise, if I may, before we open to questions, the very positive nature of this. So, yeah, in your summary, you've already said we've got no issues, no weaknesses, and I think on page 18 you said that the work of the team is of a high standard, which is very, very encouraging to hear, and green ratings throughout. So congratulations to the finance team, Lisa and Pauline, and I'm sure lots of other people as well involved, but that's very, very good to hear. No value for money, weaknesses, appropriate procedures for financial planning, no weaknesses in governance, no weaknesses in improving the economy or efficiency of the organisation. I'm not sure we could get very much better than that, to be perfectly honest. So very, very nice to hear. I noticed that we haven't closed the report, though, finally, because you've got a couple of outstanding points. Maybe you could mention, because it was open question and noted in the minutes of the last meeting, the position on pensions, and also explain what else is outstanding that we need to close, and then I'll open it up for other members to ask questions if they want.
Of course, Chair. So the position on the audit of the financial statements is we were awaiting one final bit of evidence in one area that we've now received this week. So we'll be finalising our procedures in that area. That's on housing benefits testing. The pension fund assurance letter that was outstanding at the time that you received the audit completion report, that has been received. There's no significant issues coming out of that. There will be in the final version of our audit completion report, there will be 2 unadjusted misstatements that will be included in there that link directly to the Devon Pension Fund audit. So that's not something that is within the council's control in any shape or form, and that will be appearing in every one of the Devon admitted bodies. So it's basically an issue that was reported in the Devon Pension Fund audit, and the South Hams share of the pension pot percentage is applied to that figure, and if it's above our reporting threshold, we're required to include it. But those amounts are not material, and you're not required to amend the financial statements for them, nor would we expect you to be doing so. So our plan is to now wrap up all the final loose ends so that we can get the audit opinions issued before Christmas, and we can then finalise the auditor's annual report as soon as that's done as well, because this report will refer to the date the audit opinion was issued. So as soon as we've issued the audit opinion, we'll be able to finalise the auditor's annual report as well. I think the only other thing to note on this report is that this is a public-facing report, so the finalised version will need to be published on the council's website. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mark. I think, Alison, you've got a question.
Firstly, I'd like to echo Councillor Bonham's thanks to everybody. Bishop Fleming, your team, thank you very much, and also our internal team as well, who have done, as usual, have done an amazing job. I'm just going to ask for a comment in the section on financial planning and monitoring under financial sustainability. You've said that work is ongoing to develop and consider further options that will address and close the projected budget gaps. Have you got any further comments to make on that?
I don't at this time, but I'm aware that that is an ongoing process throughout the year. I think I'm guessing Lisa would probably be best placed to pick up the current position on that.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, so this morning the executive considered a report on an update to the budget for 26-27. That is currently showing a budget gap of 202,000 for next year, and we will be working hard to close that budget gap between now and the end of January, when we will be putting a report to full council in February on budget proposals for next year. We just have a bit of a caveat around that figure because we are awaiting the local government finance settlement, and details of which are expected to be received in the week commencing the 15th of December. We're thinking probably it will be the Thursday, because that could be the last day of Parliament. So whilst we are very confident in our financial modelling, until we actually see the figures from the government, it would be good to be able to then, get our figures for the next 3 financial years. It will be a 3-year financial settlement, but there are some big changes in local government finances, particularly around members will be aware we are no longer going to receive new homes bonus funding. The fair funding review will come into effect from the 1st of January, 1st of April 2026. We have forecast the impact of that. We do think as a rural district council, we are going to be impacted by that. We don't receive any recovery grant. So this was a grant that was new for this financial year. 600 million was given to councils through the recovery grant. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any allocation from that. Some of the largest allocations went to areas such as Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester. Birmingham, I think, got the highest allocation, 39 million. So we're not going to receive the recovery grant. But however, we are aware that there is going to be a process of what is called a floor. So no council will have to drop down more than 5%. And then over the 3 financial years, if you take the highest hit in year 1, you will get what's called a cash flat settlement in year 2 and another cash flat settlement in year 3. So there will be no additional funding to fund what we know will be inflationary pressures or cost pressures that the council will face over the next 2 to 3 financial years. But yes, in terms of confidence around the 26-27 budget setting process, we're fairly confident of our figures, but yeah, grateful to see the finance settlement when it comes out just before Christmas, and obviously we will confirm to members if there are any variations from the figures that we are modelling. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. Any more points or questions, Mark, or things that need more detailed explanation? No. Well, thank you, Mark. I mean, I think it's, as already been said, very, very positive report, and thanks for you and your team, as we also said last time, keeping to plan and keeping to the timetable. So we know there's a lot of effort on the side of our team and probably yours to keep things moving forward so that we get on track. Do we know what the timing is for next year in terms of the audit and is it going to change in terms of what meetings you bring your reports to? How's that looking for going forward?
I don't expect it to change significantly from this year. The overall timeline, so you may be aware that the backstop date, as it's referred to now, is the end of February for the 24-25 audit year. That's been brought forward to the end of January next year. So that'll be the latest date at which audit opinions will be being issued next year. But we don't anticipate that that's going to impact upon our timelines on this audit at all.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if that affects the timing of our meetings. We don't need to delay a meeting, but maybe we might just want to look ahead to look at the March meeting and maybe potentially move it earlier. I don't know, Lisa. I mean, maybe that's just something for us to think about as we plan next year.
Yeah, we've got the work plan on the agenda. There are quite a few items on the March 26th agenda. Our next meeting after that is normally in July. We would be looking to publish our draft accounts again by the end of June, which is our normal timetable now. So yeah, we are assuming that the July meeting will look at the draft accounts as they did this year, and then hopefully the audit would start straight away. I'm looking at Pauline and Mark. Yeah, I mean, Pauline, is only today we were talking about the close down timetable for next year. So we're already planning for next year's compiling the accounts, and then obviously the auditing of the accounts as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. So there being no other questions or comments, let's move to the motion, shall we? Which is the recommendation is that members note the contents of the annual audit report from Bishop Fleming, All those in favour? Yeah, thank you very much. All right, excellent. Appreciate that, Mark. You're very welcome to stay. I'm sure you might want to. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Super. Okay, let's move on then to the next item, item 7, Treasury Management Mid-Year Review, page 27 onwards. As we don't have Councillor Rake here, I will ask Lisa to introduce this and tell us what the key things are that we need to think about and look at in this report. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is one of our quarterly updates on Treasury Management. So every quarter we are required to bring a report to the Audit and Governance Committee. So this is our second quarterly report. I'm very pleased to say that in terms of the interest rate we have received on our investments, we have got an average rate of 4.21% on our investments, and that compares against the industry benchmark, which is called the SONIA rate, of 4.19%. So we are very, very close. We're just slightly above the benchmark. So that is really good news. Just turning over onto page 28 and 29, you can see there the economic update and the interest rate forecast. So the forecast which we have got from MUFG Corporate Markets is that bank base rate is predicted to stay the same at 4% and then start to drop in 2026 down to 3.75 in March, and then by September down to 3.5. In terms of our predictions going forward, the report sets out that in terms of what we're expecting to achieve, we've got a budget for the year for investment interest of £1 million. Our current estimate is that we think we will achieve 1.14 million, so 140,000 in excess of the budget. So that's mainly because base rates have stayed a little bit higher than what we were anticipating where the budget was set. On page 30 and page 31, you can see there are a list of the current investments that the council has. So we do invest in money market funds. They are AAA rated. And you can see on page 30, we've got 3 money market funds: BlackRock, LGIM and Deutsche. And we've also got some fixed term deposits, mainly with the HM Treasury Debt Management Office. And we've got a £2 million investment with Barclays as well. We've also got 2 investments in the CCLA, one in the property fund, one in the Better World Cautious Fund, and the yields on those have been good over the past quarter as well. 4.59% on the property fund and 3.2% on the Better World Cautious Fund. And then on page 31 and 32, you can see there the council's borrowing. We've got a capital financing requirement for the current financial year of 23.6 million. And our current level of borrowing is down to 12.9 million. And the average rate of interest on that borrowing is just over 2.5%. And then in the appendix, Appendix A and Appendix B. So Appendix A, that sets out a schedule of where we can place the council's investments. So mainly we invest with banks and building societies within the UK, and also money market funds. And the colour coding on that tells us the length that we can do an investment with that counterparty. So for example, Barclays Bank, the current advice is to invest only for 6 months with that. And we've got some more NatWest there that we could actually do a longer investment for up to a year. So the colour codes really tell us the duration of that investment. And then in Appendix B, we've got our normal prudential and treasury management indicators. On page 39, we've got something called the liability benchmark. So what that is showing, the liability benchmark is actually lower than our borrowing, because that takes into account net loans and also investments. So it takes into account the amount of investment that we've got at any one point in time. So it actually would be less than than debt on an annual basis. I think those are the key points in the report, Chair. Happy to take questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. Again, it seems a very positive report. It's good that we are making more money than we on treasury management than we predicted, 140,000 or thereabouts. It's good that we are exceeding the benchmark that's the industry standard. Just noting some of the figures, in summary, we're borrowing money at roughly 2.5% interest, and we are getting close to 4% on the money that we're lending out. I think that's probably a good position to be in overall. I mean, you don't need to be Simon Rake to know that that's very good. But credit to Simon, I think, in helping us achieve the. Where is he?
It's the county council.
Oh, is it the county council
meeting
now doing bigger things? Okay, but well done, finance team. Anyway, but no, seriously, it's a very good position to be in. Right, some questions. We had some queries before regarding the valuation of our investments, the CCLA funds. I don't remember what the valuation was last year, but they're still somewhat below the original investment figures. Are they? I think you said last time that they were likely to be recovering. Is that the case? Have they recovered somewhat in their market value, or are we still running at a loss with those?
Yes, we are still running slightly at a loss. So on page 31, the principal amount invested was actually 3.5 million, and the current valuation of those CCLA investments is 3.11. So we are below the nominal investment. However, those were long-term strategic investments, certainly for more than sort of 5 years. So we are assuming we would keep those funds invested with CCLA for the longer term. They are giving us a very good higher than normal probably dividend yield. So you can see the property fund there with CCLA is actually giving us an investment return of 4.59. We do keep an eye. We get a monthly valuation from the CCLA. Hasn't moved much really from quarter to quarter. It's been around the 3.1 million mark for some time now. But yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that. But we're not intending to liquidate those long-term strategic investments at the moment because they're giving us a good yield. And we did, when members originally approved to put those investments into CCLA, it was with a view to them being long-term. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Are there other questions for, yes, Councillor Dennis?
Thank you. It's not necessarily a question. It's I admit to not understanding the liability benchmark. So the comment at the end, borrowing is currently above the liability benchmark, which will be utilised when future capital schemes and the capital strategy is delivered. There's probably a little chance of me understanding that this afternoon, but would you mind attempting to just explain that statement again for me, Lisa? Thank you.
Yeah, so the liability benchmark, unfortunately, this is the way SIPFA, the Institute of Public Finance, require that we show it, and it is confusing. We find it confusing as well. But what they're saying is that you have to take into account when modelling the liability benchmark, what you think your cash resources are at a point in time. And that also includes things like working capital. So when you look at your debtors and your creditors on your balance sheet, if one is in excess of the other, so if you are owed more money than you owe your suppliers, then you've got there is a cash flow advantage that is taken into account. So obviously, when you spend your capital expenditure, that is money going out the door. So that will start to bring that liability benchmark, or you'll start to use some of that cash that's included in that benchmark figure. So we do try to project what we think we're going to spend in terms of the capital programme going forward. So that is included in those indicators going as far forward as, 28, 29 and 29, 30. Does that help at all?
Or maybe, yeah, I mean, maybe Councillor Dennis doesn't mind, I can sort of ask a supplementary question because I don't fully understand it either. I mean, I thought it was best that our borrowing was lower than the liability benchmark, and hasn't that been the situation up till now? And maybe if I'm mistaken, please feel free to correct me, but I think the net is this statement a worry for us or not?
So I think what the chart is showing is a good position. What we have to make sure we meet is that our capital financing requirement, so how much borrowing you undertake for the capital programme, should be higher than your level of borrowing. So that, because what you're not allowed to do is borrow money, not use it for your capital programme, and just invest it. That is illegal. You're not allowed to do that. So one of the measures is that comparing your actual level of borrowing to what your capital financing requirement is saying. So as long as your borrowing is less than your capital financing requirement, that's the position you're looking to be in each time. So that's slightly different to the liability benchmark, because the liability benchmark takes into account cash balances that you've got to invest, whereas the CFR doesn't take that into account. So they are two different measures. So one takes into account the cash that you've got to invest, and the CFR. So the CFR is shown on page 28, and you can see there that we do meet. Our capital financing requirement is always higher than our level of borrowing. So that's the bit you're looking to make sure that you are, and that you've not broken those rules in terms of having a CFR and debt which are out of sync with each other. So the fact we're paying off our debt is a good thing. And when Bishop Fleming audit our accounts, they will look to see that we have set aside the correct amount of minimum revenue provision. That's a test that the auditors do now as part of their audit checks, because some councils weren't setting aside the repayment of debt, and what they were doing was saying, well, actually, we've got an asset, and if we were going to repay the debt, we'd do that by selling the asset. So they weren't putting aside an MRP payment to repay the borrowing, and they were just relying on the fact that they've got an asset on their balance sheet. But yeah, there are more stringent tests now around that, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Matt.
So I guess it is a bit confusing. Those two lines look very similar. So maybe so what we're saying is that top line is the loan CFR, which is like our ceiling, and the second line at the top of that blue section is our existing. So we're below that ceiling, so we're okay.
Yes.
Okay. So perhaps maybe in the future, if one of those lines can be a different colour, it could be easier to.
Unfortunately, it is a template that we get provided from our treasury management advisors. So they have the same graph for all their clients. And it is the same for the counterparty criteria on page 36, because in the past we've asked them if they could change the colour coding, because the ones that are red and the ones that are green, it looks like you shouldn't invest with the red ones, but you should invest with the green ones, whereas that's not what it's telling you. It's just the colours that they have picked as a company to show different durations of investment. So unfortunately, there are some things in the template that we can't change. Sorry.
But I do echo Councillor Steele's request, because we have had this before. And what we've shown over the 2 years of this committee is that we can get things to change. So could we go back to them and say, honestly, guys, please don't have three black and dark blue lines on the chart. There are more than two colours in the print, in the compendium. So just to help us understand. Mark, I don't know if, I don't know if you have any comments on this capital not so much on the CFR, which I think we get our minds around, but on the liability benchmark. I mean, are you comfortable with what you're seeing here? Is this good in your view, or should we drill into this and ask any more questions or points of concern?
I think just to pick up on what Lisa was saying about the minimum revenue provision, so that is something that became an area of auditor focus a few years ago, because, as Lisa said, there were a number of bodies that either weren't making an appropriate provision or at all, or they were actually treating their asset lives were unrealistic in effect. So rather than paying off the borrowing on asset over 50 years, they were saying they were going to do it over 100 years, and thereby making a cash saving each year by not putting as much money aside. So to combat that, because that has a real cash impact. They can by changing the MRP policy, they can actually have a financial impact and make savings in the year. So one of the checks that we do is like a reasonableness check of what's the overall MRP check is, and basically if it's over a certain threshold, we start to dig into it and ask more questions, because if it's indicative that it's spread over a longer period of time than the life of your assets generally are, then we'd be looking into and querying whether you've actually got an appropriate MRP policy. So we look at what your policy is that what is actually being employed in practice, and is it reasonable? And yes, we're happy. No issues to raise. Sorry, I should have concluded on that.
Yeah, well, thank you. No, I think you were nearly there, but you got there to reassure us. So thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, I do struggle with this chart, but if there's no concern around it, Lisa, could I ask you to explain the difference between on the earlier page with the difference between the budget and the estimate this year of the borrowing need and the capital spend, because the capital expenditure seems to have gone up, but the borrowing need seems to have gone down, and they are for different reasons. I know you did explain it to me, but maybe other members of the committee would value your explanation of it. If you could, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So I think this is shown on page 37 of the agenda. It's the first page of Appendix B. So in terms of our capital expenditure, our estimate for 25-26 is now 15.5 million. Previously, we thought our estimate of capital expenditure when we set the budget was 12.89. The main reason for that movement is because of the completion date for the land at Sherford. So when we originally set the budget, we thought we would complete on that land purchase before the year end, before the end of March 25. But actually we completed on that land purchase in June 25, so it moved into the next financial year. So that's why our estimate of 25-26 is higher, and our actual for 24-25 would have been lower, because it's just the timing of that land purchase. And similarly, in terms of the way that was financed, that purchase has been financed. The amount that we have paid in the main has been financed from a government grant through the seed funding from the Freeport. So again, in terms of the resources that you see in the table below, that would show under external sources. So the estimate there is higher because we're utilising that government grant seed funding for the Freeport. And then similarly across the page on page 38, very similar, we've got a change of the timescale of when we will externally borrow for the waste fleet. So our current estimate is that we will physically take out that borrowing in 26-27 rather than 25-26, and that's due to the lead-in time on those vehicle purchases. So although the order has been placed for the waste fleet and those vehicles, physically we won't take delivery of those vehicles until 26-27, and that is the point that we will pay for the vehicles. So we don't have to pay for them in advance, we pay for them on delivery. So just some slight changes in the timing of some of the capital expenditure items has meant that it shows in the prudential indicators in terms of when you've got your budget and when you've got your actual as such. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. Good. Are there more questions on this area? No, not much has changed really since previous years. So I think we're seeing consistent figures and understanding really what this is telling us, and it again seems positive and under control. So that's good. Right. Should we go to the recommendation then? If there are no other comments, recommended that the Audit Committee resolves to endorse the contents of the Treasury Management Report. I think that means we approve it. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. Right, let's go to the next item then. Item 8, the action plan around self-assessment. There's committee self-assessment, and we've got some recommendations and some amendments, but maybe if you don't mind, Lisa, I'll just give a bit of an introduction and give you a chance to fill in any gaps. So this was at the recommendation of internal audit that we look at the way we improve the work of this committee, and that based on the recommendation that we got from internal audit, there were 3 things we said we would start with. One is concentrating on the terms of reference so that it was really, really clear what we had responsibility for and what we didn't. Secondly, looking at a skills audit so that we could see whether we had any skills gaps or knowledge gaps that we needed to fill. And thirdly, to look at training. And there might be some other actions, I think, following on from that. But let's start with those 3. And pleased to see that Councillor Dennis and Councillor Nix and I got together to look at the first 3 items. So we've had a little bit of toing and froing on this terms of reference, and I want to thank Councillor Birch and also our legal officer for giving feedback, and Lisa for producing the document in the first place. So what we've got in the pack is a report which summarises, or well, more than summarises, it goes into some detail about the terms of reference of this Audit and Governance Committee based on the wording in the council constitution and feedback from officers about what our remit is. And the main purpose of this really is for us to be clear and to help future members of this committee. We did originally think we might put this in the council constitution, but based on advice from David Fairburn, I think I'm happy that we publish this as notes of the committee and also put it on our website. So what I'd like to do is to throw this open for discussion. Maybe more generally first of all, and then we'll come to the 2 amendments, because there's 2 or 3 amendments that we've got here regarding the specific wording. Councillor Nix.
Just to say that we were looking at also including making sure that the link worked.
Yes.
On the website through
Yes.
to the correct update.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Nix. Yeah, we checked on that, and it didn't seem to work properly. So maybe we can talk about that after the meeting and just see if it does work now. So what we've got here is a paper which is terms of reference for the Audit and Governance Committee, and we've got a whole list of things here, 15 or 20 different line items, which sort of say what we can do. Lisa, I don't know if you want to add to that at all, and then we'll come to the amendments.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And so I think, in terms of background, this came from the exercise that we carried out alongside with Devon Audit Partnerships assistants to come up with a very detailed terms of reference for the Audit and Governance Committee, and thank you to members for coming up with some extra suggestions on those. Very happy to look at the changes proposed, Chair. Thank you.
John, do you want to comment at all at this stage?
No, only just to thank you for taking on board the comments made by the monitoring officers, and also on taking on board the comments that I made. And I think the document reflects a high level of agreement, if I could say that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate you looking at it, because last time, when we looked at this in the last committee meeting, you hadn't had a chance to look at it. So I do appreciate you spending time looking at it, liaison with David, and checking some of the details. So, and also to Sam and Alison for going through the wording with me in quite a lot of detail. So we do have some amendments, and I want to explain what this is about, if I can, and then maybe take the amendments and open it up for more debate. We had a discussion about with John and David and others about whether this committee could have look at issues or look at topics or set up task and finish group, and I think we've got new wording. It does say Q there, but I think it means P. Amendment to clause Q of the proposed terms of reference, item 8, is what I'm questioning. That should be P.
That's Q. It's P's the first one, and then Q. P.
Oh, P and Q. Well, P and Q. All right. Mine, please. Let's go P, please. Right. Okay. So what we've got now. Sorry about this. Yes, I think it should say amendment to clause P and Q. Anyway, new wording of P: to appoint a working group to complete specific tasks on a topic under its remit: audit, risk, the regulatory framework, accounting policies and government, which reports back to the committee, the committee. Because what I wanted to put in there is clarity that we can set up a working group or task and finish group, whatever we call it, without necessarily having that request coming from the leader or the executive or the council, and that we could decide if we wanted to investigate a topic. And that's what the amendment is now, and John and David are comfortable with that. So do we need to vote on taking this and adding it to the main motion? Okay, so has anyone got any questions on P being added or replacing the original P being included in the main motion? Some of you look like you're wondering about it.
No, I think I understand where you're coming from with it, and I think it's a good idea, and I think it captures that. So happy.
The difference, if you're wondering what the difference is that in the original P, which came largely from feedback from David, that any work that we did in the task and finish group had to be requested by the leader or the executive or the council. Now, in the new P, we're basically saying we can do it if it's in our remit. Okay, no objection. So let's, Alison. Right, we'll take both of them together. Let's have a look. Good idea. Let's have a look at the changes to Q. So in Q, right, in Q, what we originally had, what we found in the governance, in the constitution of the council, was that there's a code of corporate governance, and the constitution said that we would receive a report from the internal auditors on the test and monitoring of the code of corporate governance. But Joe, what we found out was that you in internal audit don't actually do that. Instead, it seems to be part of the annual governance statement. I can see you nodding. Do you want to comment, or because we just want to make sure we get this right? Sorry, we can't hear what you're saying. We're not sure if you've got your microphone, the headset, sound. I don't know. Yeah, I think sign. John's suggesting sign language. If you're happy with it, just nod or thumbs up. Yes, great. Okay, thank you. That's so much easier. Yeah, she's a diver. Okay, very good. All right, so we've got a new wording to receive a report annually on the Code of Corporate Governance as part of the annual governance statement. Has anyone got any questions about this? Because it might just be useful if we're really, really 100% clear what the Code of Corporate Governance actually tells us. Does anyone want to hear about that?
It sets out the principles of corporate governance, yeah. So in the annual governance statement, we go through each of those principles and say or give evidence as to how the council is meeting those principles. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Okay, so if we're happy with that, let's take both then as amendments to the main motion. Are those in favour? Thank you very much. So that did take us a little while to get that word in, but thanks to John and my colleagues and David for agreeing to all of that. So we've now got, so do we want to have any more discussion or debate? Anyone with any questions or comments on this whole area?
Obviously, we've looked at the knowledge and skills matrix, and Lisa's supported us in getting that from SIPFA. So I just want to check that all members have looked at it or have filled it in or are planning to, so that we can look at training plans for the committee going forward.
I'm not sure I've received it. Was that by email?
Yeah.
We haven't sent it out separately, but we will do after this meeting. We'll send it out to all members, and I think we were going to ask if there was any chance of having it back sort of early January. If
please send it out, and then please chase when
okay,
we fail.
thank you.
Honestly, just because I'm very, very busy, it's I might need a kick, but please do kick.
Yeah, thank you. Well, members, it is in the pack you've seen on page 44, the skills matrix in blue, audit committee members' knowledge and skills framework. So, yes, you have seen it. Councillor Dennis.
I think if I can just encourage members to start at the end of it rather than the beginning, because the first few questions are quite daunting, but if you go to the end, it's a more gentle way into it. I did suggest that maybe we could just sit down and do it all together as more of a workshop. But
yeah, I take both points. I mean, the first two questions are like, what does all this mean? And then it gets a lot easier, doesn't it? And if you work backwards, it seems good. Maybe we'll ask Joe, if we've got sound, to see whether, it's good practice for us to do this all together, or, maybe a variation of that might be that we each individually do it and then review it all together. And Joe, what would be your thoughts? Because maybe other councillors have done this.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we're here.
Yes, you can. Yeah,
Thank
perfect. Sorry, I was concerned you weren't able to hear me. Yeah, in terms of sort of our advice, I would say go away, everyone can go through their skill matrix and bring that back together and review that as a committee. You may find that some have some questions. I think we're always a bit harsh on ourselves, aren't we, when we're evaluating ourselves, but it is a good exercise that we all undertake individually and bring back to the committee as a whole to discuss.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we had a suggestion that we actually do it when we have the next workshop with yourself, looking at the internal audit work plan, which is some date in January. And if we have time, since we're all together, and hopefully you can get to that meeting, we could maybe do it then. So, so a couple of thoughts then. Let's add, if we can, Amelia, on the first one, that we change, agrees to adopt Appendix 1 in brackets as amended. Because I think we need that, because we've made some amendments to Appendix 1. And then, oh, you've lost it now. Sam, while we're
Yes,
rewording.
just a query while we're doing that. So we were talking just briefly in the amendments about the Code of Corporate Governance, and I just wondered if we could fix the link from the Constitution that takes you to the Code of Corporate Governance, because otherwise I'm not aware that I've seen it. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of the links in the Constitution are broken, and yeah, that's a good. I mean, the one to the several of them need to be checked and fixed. I don't really know whose job that is. Yeah. Okay. So as amended, thank you. And then asks that Appendix 1 be published, or Appendix 1 as amended, be published in the Audit and Governance section of the Council's website. So the purpose of that is to make it clear and to have a permanent record that we can refer to easily somewhere or other, and that seemed to be as good as any. And then request that members complete the SIPFA knowledge skills matrix by early January or whatever the date is. So, and then we'll review them on the meeting, the workshop we've got with Joe. What does anyone remember what date that is? 29th of January. Fantastic. So by the 29th of January or by the January. So if and then Lisa, if you wouldn't mind just sending it out again for those people who need another reminder. And lastly, for agrees to offer tailored training plans. So that's something we'll come to after we've done the skills matrix, because we don't need training if we don't need it. Yeah, Councillor Preswell. Oh, good question.
Yes, if you could send that back to Daryl and myself, Daryl White, yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Very good question. Yeah, what do we do with that? Well, maybe, and then you'll share it with Joe, will you, or something? What do you want to do?
Yes, we'll collate that and then we can share that with Joe. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll extend the time then on the 29th of January, shall we, for that? Okay, any other comments on this? Right, so let's go to the motion then. All those in favour of the amended recommendation for self-assessment? Oh, thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, I think it's a good piece of work, and I hope members will find it useful to take time to read through the terms of reference and have a think about, you know, what we are supposed to be doing, what we're not. I mean, I think everyone had a similar view that it was quite hard to work that out. You know, it was scattered around and a lot of it wasn't even written down. And now we're probably a bit clearer, and it'll be helpful for us going forwards. So thanks, especially to Alison and Sam for helping put that together. Okay, item 9, progress on the internal audit report. So Joe, you've done a very good update again for us. Thank you very much. So perhaps I can go to you to introduce it, and then we'll open for questions. Oh, right. Hold on. I've got to read this bit.
Chair.
Well, Chair, are we doing the whole thing in part 2 or part of it? Oh, good question.
The only bit in part 2 is the IT bit on patch management. Yes. So yes, if we have a general discussion about all the other audits, and then
right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you very much. Yep. Good way of doing it.
Over to me, Chair.
Yep. Over to you,
Excellent.
Joe.
Thank you. So the paper today is our normal progress report that you would receive at this time of year. So progress on the audit plan for 25-26 from April to date. So I'll take you through some key points on the progress report, and I'll open up for any questions. In terms of the opinion that we give at year end, you'll note at the last committee meeting earlier in the year that we hadn't sort of started to build up that overall opinion. Now that we're further into the year and we have done a good proportion of the internal audit plan, we're showing you on that the overall opinion statement that we're working towards as the year progresses is reasonable assurance. So that reasonable assurance is what you achieved at the year end last year, and that at the moment with the work that we've done this year and our knowledge and understanding of the council is what we're working towards at the moment from the work that we performed. You'll see within the report that we have issued 12 final reports. So overall that is 1 substantial opinion, 10 reasonable, 1 limited, and we've also done 3 grants. The progress of the internal audit plan to date is really good. So we are very happy with where we are in terms of the progress. We've been able to progress our work at pace. Managers, etc., that we've been working with across the authority are working with us really well, that we can sort of do our work as we need to, and reports are getting to draft stage quickly, which is the aim in terms of when we carry out our testing. We then want to report timely to management and then obviously onto the Audit and Governance Committee and then finalise. So that progress is working really well, which allows us to have good progress on our plan. In terms of the reports that we have in the pack today, Appendix 1 is any work that we've completed since the last report that we provided to you in June. So I won't go through the detail of those, but what you'll see is there's 7 final reports that we have completed since our last update in June, and all of those 7 audit reports have achieved reasonable assurance, which is a very good level of assurance to be achieving. So really open to any questions that the committee may have in terms of the update report that I provided to you today.
Thanks very, very much, Jo. And I think there's a lot of work that's been done lately on all of these reports. And again, it's good that in general they are positive. Let's open it for questions. Councillor Nix.
Yes, just one query really about the limited assurance section. Is this going to be revisited? Please?
Yes, it will. Yeah. So the plan with all limited assurance reviews that we provide, and we do follow-up work in order to provide further assurance back to management, to your committee, if progress is being made. So having spoken to the senior auditor who carried out that work, then we're looking to do a follow-up review on that in Q1 of next year's audit plan. The main reason for that timing is because there's a new system that is being implemented, which we understand is due to be implemented in February, March of next year. So we will be liaising with the relevant team to see the progress of that system implementation. If it does happen around that time, then we would look to follow that up early in Q1 of the new audit plan.
Thank you, Jo.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. Good question there. Are there more comments on any of the detail of this or questions? Yeah, Councillor Dennis.
Thank you. I can see in the planned audits that we've got street scene residence scheme. So I don't know what that is. I can also see we've got safeguarding, and I'm aware that we've got the updated safeguarding policy coming to executive in January. So will that, how does that fit in with the timings of that being audited? And then just another question, building maintenance and works commissioning from 24-25, is that audit was supposed to happen in 24-25, but we brought it forward, or is it only looking at works commissioning from those years?
No problem. I'll take the building maintenance work commissioning one first. So from my understanding, that work it didn't happen at that point in time, so it's now happening now, and it's at field work stage, so that should be coming hopefully to the next committee meeting. I'm not aware of any delays in progress on that, so that's something that we will be looking to bring to the next committee. In terms of safeguarding, that's currently at that scoping stage. Obviously, when we're scoping out a piece of review, we would be taking into account any sort of developments that's happening in terms of legislation, etc. So that will be taken into account to ensure that the timing of our work is in line with anything else that's going on across the authority. So that will be taken into account to ensure that the timing of that is right. If, for example, if we felt that the timing wasn't right, then we would obviously have a discussion with Lisa on moving that if necessary. But I haven't been directed from the auditors that we would need to be doing that at the moment in time. And finally, you mentioned about street scene residency scheme. My understanding that is at fieldwork stage at the moment. I don't have any further comments at the moment on that one, but if you've got any particular questions, I'm quite happy to go away and find out and come back to you on that.
Sorry, Councillor Dennis, you've got a follow-up.
My question is, what is it? What is the street scene resident scheme? Which I appreciate, Joanne, you might not know, but hoping someone else will.
Sorry, I don't know either.
Yeah, I would need to refer back to the audit brief that we've got on that one to understand sort of the risks involved and why it's on the why we're looking at it and exactly what we're auditing on that. So I would need to come back to the committee on that one.
Perhaps we can just take a short email from you, Joe, if you don't mind, because I think we're auditing something and no members, no councillors and no officers seem to know quite what it is. So we'd be guessing, would we? Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's hope we're not spending too much on it. But anyway, good. Do you mind, Joe, just dropping the members a note on that? I think very good point, Sam. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, I've got a few questions, if I may, Joe, on the things that are rated green or reasonable assurance. So I hope you don't mind me going through some of these one at a time. So firstly, on market, on customer service and delivery, it says that our estates were owed £93,000 debt over 30 days and 45 debtors. What I don't know is what is the turnover roughly of that department? I mean, is that a big figure in the grand scheme of things or small? And how much should we be, and is it getting worse or better?
That's under the commercial properties and rent, is that correct? The last sentence in that?
Yeah, commercial properties and rents, yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay. In terms of the bigger scheme on the turnover, I'm not sure, so I'll probably refer back to Lisa on that one.
Mrs. Henstock has got an update on that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The employment estates income budget is around 1.4 million, so it would equate to 6.5% roughly, just to put it into context, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's not a massive figure. Do we know if it's sort of under control or getting worse or better? Do we know that at all?
I believe it's under control, and a member of my team has a meeting with assets regularly to talk through the debts, the nature of those debts and the age of them.
Okay, thank you very much. That sounds positive. Yeah, I mean, that sort of percentage is not unreasonable, is it, in the current climate? Markets. It's encouraging that markets have now got reasonable assurance. When we first looked at this, we had a bit of a debate and a quandary about whether all markets were included. I think Councillor Dennis was keen to understand this, if I remember correctly. So is this just Totnes market that we've sort of managing now differently, or are all the markets being put into the same process so that we have consistency across the entire area? Do we know that? Yeah, Councillor Birch. Microphone, John.
It's I believe it's Totnes and Kingsbridge, because I don't think there's anything at Ivybridge. It's really at the moment. No, it's just those two.
My recollection was when we asked before that this bit of work was only going to cover Totnes, but I may have been mistaken. Councillor Dennis?
I think, yeah, I think really the reassurance we're seeking is that all of the markets have been considered. Initially, it only it only referenced Totnes, and multiple requests we asked for them to look at all of the markets. So what's described here is that your question is, you know, are we talking about all of the markets there?
Okay, well, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Yeah, I think perhaps again we can ask Joe, if you don't mind, to take a look at this and just see what markets have been covered in this study and whether, you know, we think it may have only been Totnes, and if that's the case, then perhaps we could get feedback about the need for this bit of work to cover all the markets at some stage, either now or in the future. That would be helpful.
No problem.
Moving on then to project management, I'm slightly worried by the line here towards the bottom of the page 65. And I quote here: most of the agreed recommendations in our previous audit report have not yet been implemented. Previous audit report of 2022-23. That worries me a bit, and I'm a little bit concerned, maybe even surprised, that you've given a reasonable assurance when they haven't done the previous work from 3 years ago. I mean, is that really the case, or has time sort of moved on and these are not relevant anymore?
In terms of the opinion that we've given, I would say it's down to the level of the issues that we've raised. So there's nothing significant in that previous report that's a high risk, but we do have recommendations in there that have not been taken forward. But we've given the same level of opinion due to the level of risk in terms of those issues.
Okay, that's kind of okay. Yeah, Lisa, do you have another? Oh,
Chair,
yeah.
I think Mr Hawke was
Just
going to give a bit of an
build
update
and
to
expand on
members.
that a little bit for the committee. So yes, a number of actions were outstanding since the previous audit, primarily due to capacity. But what we have done over the last sort of 12 months is start to develop a corporate project management office. So headed up by Paul Rigby, who many of you will know through managing some of our key projects over recent years. So he's taken that work forward. He's now got some dedicated project managers working for him, and they are now able to bring forward things quite rapidly actually now around the project hub, project resources and project management training. So by the end of March, I think all of the outstanding actions will be completed.
Thank you, that's very good to hear. Yeah, that's very encouraging that we've got resource. I mean, projects are notoriously challenging, but when we're doing new things in a different way, and I think just from recollection, we might be facing a big new project coming up in the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know. So I'm glad we got some project resource that can help us. Moving on, housing maintenance and repairs. We seem to have some performance indicators. I'm quoting here: these are updated infrequently with poor reporting. Functionality of existing systems mean that manual input is required, etc. Management would like to address this, but note the data is not valid or representative. Doesn't seem a great state of affairs. Again, it's probably not that causing a massive risk, but it's still a little bit worrying. I think. Is it being looked at? Does anyone know? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I can give an update on that one. So this is around the housing properties which the council owns. Obviously, we don't have our own council housing stock because we large-scale voluntary transferred that in 1999. But this particular report is talking about the few properties that we do own. So members will be aware that we have bought some properties through the Local Authority Housing Fund. Those properties that we have bought and that we do own, they're quite new. They are all sort of built post the year 2000. So we're quite confident that there aren't any issues around things like asbestos. We are up to date with all of the things that we need to do. So things like EPC, gas and electrical checks, they have all been done and are up to date, so there's no risk around those. I think the conversation was around the assets team and the housing team having a central register of those properties which we have purchased, and it's that central register which we haven't done yet. So I think different teams have got spreadsheets managing those small amount of properties that we do own, but there isn't a central register. And I think that's one of the recommendations within the report, is that we have a central register, and that that work is going to be done. We are moving towards putting a central register of those properties in place, so that the housing team and the maintenance team have all got it in one central register.
That sounds, thank you, Lisa. That sounds very sensible. Yeah, Councillor Creswell.
Just clarification on central register. Is that a list?
It's sort of a central database, I guess, or something that both teams can access, because what we found was both teams are using their own spreadsheets rather than having one central database or system that those properties are on. So, for example, with the majority of our assets, we use a software system called Concerto. So all of the things that we own are all in Concerto, but that is mainly looked at by the assets team. So yeah, it's just making sure that we've got it all in one central place, really. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Dennis.
Yes, I mean, that seems like a really obvious thing to do, so that's good that that's happening. But this is particularly about the properties we have that are used as temporary accommodation, isn't it? So I would like to understand more about, at some point, and I appreciate it's not necessarily relevant here, is Seymour lettings. Is that an element of the council that gets audited by the internal auditors, or has it been done recently?
It is looked at by internal audit. We can find out through Joe the last time Seymour Lettings was audited. We can do that, Chair. Thank you.
Is that okay, Joe?
Yes, no problem. Obviously, it's not in the audit plan for this year, but we can look at when we last looked at that area and provide an update to the opinion given.
Thank you very much. All right, you happy with that? Okay, good. I don't personally have any more questions on this. Are there any more points? And then we'll go, if not, we'll go to the part 2 discussion. Do you want to just comment on this, Amelia, on the previous question?
Yeah, I just want to give members just a quick update about the Totnes market. So the Deputy Chief Executive gave members a verbal update back in December 23 and said all the changes were applicable to Totnes. I think members had requested that Kingsbridge and Dartmouth be included as part of that, and it was said, no, this is just for Totnes.
Mm. Are there any reason? Okay, so I think that's a fair answer. I mean, I guess is there any reason for that? Is what we would like to know. It's not fair to ask Joe, or there's no executive member here to answer that. Councillor Dennis.
To counter what Councillor Birch just said about it being the best, it is the best because the others get forgotten in instances like this.
There is work being undertaken to improve both Kingsbridge and Ivybridge. It's in the economic development programme. I can rest assured we don't. We want Kingsbridge and Ivybridge to be like Totnes.
Yeah, okay. Actually, of course, we do have, John, you are responsible for markets. Is that correct? So great. So, well, the question isn't just about the quality of the markets. I think it's also about the processes and the audit mechanism for the cash management, etc. The processes that ensure that we're controlling and managing things effectively. So I think it's a fair point by Councillor Creswell as to whether the process that's been audited and the improvements that are going to be in place for Totnes would also now apply to the other 2 or maybe 3 markets, including Ivybridge, Dartmouth and Kingsbridge.
There isn't one at Dartmouth.
Then not Dartmouth.
But in answer to your question, it's if the internal audit want to undertake an audit of Kingsbridge and Overbridge, then clearly that is open to them to do so. If they only selected Totnes, then it's outside of my control on that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Joe. You've got your hand. Yeah. Over to you.
Yeah, whilst you were just chatting, I just opened the audit brief for the piece of work, just to give you a bit of more information on the work that was covered. So the review was a detailed follow-up of the observations in a previous audit report that we issued back in June 23. That opinion was of limited assurance, so it's a follow-up of those points raised then. And it does distinctly say that it was to cover all of the South Hams markets, which was Totnes, Kingsbridge and Ivybridge.
Well, that's good. Thank you very much. We've covered it. All right, that's very helpful. We look forward to the improvements in the other markets, John. I think that's a good summary. And, you know, they're all going to be as good as Totnes in due course, but that's not really for this committee.
Can I just make the point, actually, that what is quite encouraging reading the report here is the vast improvement that has occurred in the administration of the Totnes market, and in particular collecting of money, etc. A few years ago, it was not anywhere near this high standard. So the standards have certainly improved over recent years, which is good, and therefore hopefully that can then be we can have the same response in Kingsbridge, bearing in mind they're much smaller than Totnes.
Does that answer people's questions on this one? Sam, Ben, still looking.
Yeah, no, just to echo, it is a huge improvement. I remember being asked if I could just go out and just collect the cash, you know, in days gone by while I was working in the information centre. So yes, there is already a huge improvement, but I see no reason why all of the improvements can't be shared around the South Hams. So.
Yep, thanks, Councillor Birch. That's helpful. Appreciate that. Okay, then, unless there's other comments, let's go on to part two. So we've got a motion here that in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, public and press be excluded from the meeting during consideration of the following items of business in order to avoid the likely disclosure to them of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the Act. What a beautiful sentence. And all agree to that. Okay, thank you, everybody. We are back online. So let's move to the motion then on item 9, progress on internal audit. That the committee note and approve the progress made against the internal audit plan and any key issues arising. And there are, I mean, despite the very positive report from Joe and the team, there are quite a lot of actions, and you know they need to be followed up. But I'm sure they will be. So, all those in favour of this? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Good. Item 10. Yeah. Yes, we will still be 4 o'clock. Yeah. Thanks very much, David, for lasting with us. Appreciate that. And I'm sorry we didn't start earlier, but I know you've got other commitments. All right. Okay. Committee sponsored task and finish groups. Joe, if you I don't know if you feel you need to stay, Joe. If you feel you want to drop out, by the way, please take that opportunity. But I'll leave it to you.
No problem. I'll happily stay and listen
Okay,
to the rest
thanks.
of the meeting.
Okay, let's have a look then at the verbal feedback from the Freeport Working Group from Councillor Nix.
Okay, thank you very much. So last week, a few of us and some of the officers went and were given a tour of some of the Freeport that we could access. We were accompanied by some of the officers or the members of the Freeport team, also some of the building work that had gone on, particularly, and we were given a tour of the Langage Energy Park, which was really good, which is opening in January, I believe. We looked at the sites there, the availability of different sized accommodations, both office and some bigger workspaces that were available. We went down and had a look at the hydrogen plant site and also at the road that has been built by Devon County, that at the moment still goes into the middle of nowhere, but you can actually see it gave us a view of where the plots were, and how that's going to grow over the coming 4 years or so. I think it will take a lot longer than that, but we will see a considerable uptake on that and that time. So I think what we took from that was there's a lot of work going on. We went over to Sherford, to the site over at Sherford that we were discussing earlier. They are now working on that, putting in the base on the site, and they have opened up a small area of road, put the road in, small area of road for some of the work vehicles to use and park in, and we were shown exactly where that building that was given planning permission will actually sit in the landscape, which is brilliant. So we'll be watching that with interest. A couple of things that came out of that and that we'd like to follow up are some of the socio-economic benefits that are going on. It was raised about some of the work going on there, some of the training, which I know we've already discussed, but more on a socio-economic background. But the first thing that we'd like to have a look at is sustainable travel. It was very clear while we were over there that some of these sites might be used, particularly in the energy park, for a number of people, quite a high number compared with the availability of parking, etc. Very little bus transport, bus routes over there. So that will be our next topic. And I know Councillor Birch is going to support us in getting the right speakers for that. And we will also talk to the Devon County Council representative for sustainable travel as well. So that'll be interesting. And we're hoping if we can get a date for that in late January. So we're working on that at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very good. Any questions? Let me open it to the floor. Any points for Alison on the free? Oh, do you want to? Yes, good point, Alison. Just John, Councillor Birch, do you want to give any update or any?
Yeah,
input?
yeah, it's good that some of the working group were able to attend the site inspection. I attended a Freeport board meeting this morning, and the meeting received a presentation from a company called Hillwood, who are major, they're international developers who have got by the sound of it, a excellent record in developing sites for what I would call high-end employment. The majority owner of the Langage site is Carlton Power, and Carlton Power are in the process of in discussions with Hillwood with a view to having a joint venture that will hopefully then lead to a substantial development on Langage. So what I found quite heartening about that is that there are there's some really positive action being taken that quite obviously will hopefully lead to development on the Langage site. I mean, clearly, as far as Sherford is concerned, the position at Sherford, as you know, is that we have purchased the land. The land belongs to South Hams. We've entered into an option agreement with Babcock, and the way things look at the moment is that this year Babcock will be exercising that option, and quite clearly there will be then development underway on Sherford. So I would hope that within the next couple of years we're going to see a development underway, or certainly well planned to be underway on both Langage and Sherford. I mean, things are moving fast, which is good for South Hams.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. Councillor Presswell.
What is the company involved in the first company, Hillwood?
They're called Hillwood, Hill Wood, Hillwood.
What do they do? What kind of investment are they making?
Well, they're based in Dallas in America, and they're doing work in not only England and UK, but in Poland and Germany. And they do, for example, the kind of work they do, they've carried out some very large-scale employment developments in Bristol. These are large units for employment purposes. And when I say they're sort of high-end, they're not just a shed, they're more than that. So they've got a really good reputation. It's an impressive presentation given by them this morning.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I'd maybe just like to circle back to the working group, Alison. I mean, as I understand it, what we're doing is we're looking at the list of, or some of the issues raised by the original Task and Finish report, and looking at the list of risks and how they're being managed along the way. So it's good that we're looking at the sites. It's good that we're monitoring progress, but I guess I'm keen to know what's our evaluation of the risk management processes and mitigation of the issues that were raised, and are we going to report at some stage, written report for this committee, so that we can sort of get a sort of closure on those questions, or is there an end date? Is it going to be ongoing? How do you see the next stages?
As far as I'm aware, and I've been instructed that it's going to be an ongoing process, there was a report given to the executive back, I don't think it was the last executive, it was the executive before that in the summer, that went to there, which I'm sure could be shared with the committee, should it need to be. The risks are being well managed. overall. We've got the site of obviously our S151 officer on it all, and directors as well. So the risk management is being looked at, and we're happy with that as it stands at the moment. But obviously, as we go through and with the different topics that are being looked at, that might adjust, etc. But for South Hams at the moment, we're in a good place. So Lisa, have you got any?
Just to say that there will be a report on the Freeport on the January executive agenda. Yeah, thank you.
So is that in January? Is that including input from Alison and Councillor Nixon and the working group, or is it a report from Councillor Birch, or a bit of both? How are we taking the input from the work being done here and feeding that into the wider sort of understanding and risk management of the overall thing?
I think what is required is that normally it's a report that comes from in the past from Chris Brook as the director who's responsible. So it's a report from the director as opposed from me. I'm not certain where that's going to emerge for the January meeting, but that's no doubt something we'll have to sort out. But I mean, what I think, if my memory serves me correctly, is that there was reference in the last report that went to the executive, made reference to the work that was carried out by Alison and the working group. So that would be hopefully be the same in January. But can I just make one point which I wanted to mention that came out of the meeting this morning? At these Freeport board meetings, we do have a representative from the ministry, from the government's representative at the meeting. And bearing in mind, I think there's about 10 or 12 Freeports in this country. And we are way out top of all the Freeports, the way it's being run, the way it's being administered, and the progress that's being made, etc. So, you know, we're top of the list when it comes to all the other Freeports. So I certainly give you an assurance it is very well run, and that is recognised by the government.
Yeah, with regards to the last report that went to executive, I fed into Chris Brooks, and then that went across. So that is being reported back across. I believe that I've got to do the same with Chris Shears. Is that correct?
Yes, fortunately, because we have Chris Brook until the end of December, I think Chris is starting to draft that report now, and we'll do the same process, Councillor Nixon, ask for your input into that report as well. Thank you. And Councillor Birch.
Yeah, that seems a good model. If it's going to the executive, anyone can see it. In terms of it being open-ended, is that something maybe we should revisit as time goes on? I mean, I don't know if we need to, but yeah, the Freeport is going to rumble on for years. So, but what I worry a little bit about is that it's, at some point it'll become business as usual and we won't need to keep poking into it, but perhaps not yet. Perhaps we need to keep going.
Absolutely. I think that there will be a time when it's not relevant because it will be far enough along that it won't be appropriate for us to be working on it anymore. So,
okay, thank you. Any more questions on the Freeport or questions for Councillor Nix? Okay, good. And yeah, we look forward to seeing the written report, and it'll be a swan song for Chris Brooks, wouldn't it? I don't know. Maybe. We would be sad to lose him. Okay, let's note then, or let's look at the motion to note the Freeport Working Group update. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Very good. Thanks, Alison. Okay, for the next one then, item 11, Audit and Governance Committee Work Plan 25-26. Just to preface this a little bit, if I may, what we are trying to do is we've got quite a lot to do in the next meeting, but we're also aware of the extra work that the finance team and Lisa in particular have put into the LGR, and that's not going to stop, I don't think. So we've put forward the idea, myself and Alison, that we defer some points, some activities that maybe aren't so crucial to do quickly and that can be deferred. Obviously, there's a lot that we do need to look at, but there's a couple of things that we've taken out or deferred for later into next year, one of which is the feedback, is the audit report on the complaints process. And the other one is the request by Councillor Brazil to look at the exception policies for capital investment, or the sort of workaround where there's no sort of formal process through the executive for capital investment. And I think I'm personally comfortable that we move those to a more convenient time and take some workload away from Lisa and the team where, you know, it's all bunching up. But I'm also open to different ways of doing that if people feel that we should be doing that a different way. So with that said, beg pardon, we should take out the what? Yeah, we did say we might also defer the money laundering policy. That was part of the discussion we had for preparation for this meeting. So we might also do that. Lisa, do you want to talk through all this work and agenda items that we've got for March? Because we might want to start earlier than 2:30. I don't know what you think.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Sorry, 2 o'clock, you're right.
So yes, we've got the, this is not a committee meeting, but an informal meeting with Devon Audit Partnership and Joe to look at the internal audit plan for next year. So that is 2:30 on the 29th. Apologies, I should have also put on there that we have arranged treasury management training for members. That's on 26th of February at 10 o'clock in the morning. That will be with Adam Burlington, who we've had last year. So that's the annual treasury management training for all members. And then on the 5th of March, yes, the March agenda is always one of our lengthier agenda items. So we will have the internal audit plan for 26-27. Hopefully the January meeting, we would have gone through the vast majority of that with Devon Audit Partnership and with Joe. We will have an update from Joe's team on the internal audit plan. Hopefully we might have an audit plan from Bishop Fleming for the March meeting.
Our audit plan will come to the March meeting, yes.
Brilliant, thank you. And then we've got our normal 3 strategies: capital, treasury management and the investment strategy. So that's why we've arranged for the training with members in February ahead of that agenda item in March. And those 3 strategies, the Audit and Governance Committee recommend those to full council at the end of March. We'll have our normal strategic risk update. We'll probably defer money laundering unless we can get it done before March. Budget book will be on there. Shared services methodology, that's one we have to do in March because it informs our close down of the accounts. And then again, any updates from the Freeport Task and Finish Group and our work plan. So hopefully, Chair, we ought to be able to have that as an afternoon meeting. But again, if you feel you'd rather take that in a morning and an afternoon, we can look at that. But at the moment, it's scheduled for 2 o'clock on the 5th.
Thank you very much, Lisa. What do members feel? Is that a bit tough, or should we? I mean, when we had the meeting in the morning and the afternoon, personally, I felt it was good because we sort of had a mental break. We had a break, didn't we, in the middle, and we sort of refreshed ourselves. But it does take more time, obviously. What do you think, Councillor Presswell? Press the button. Yeah.
Well, very selfishly, if I have a break in the middle, which I need because I need to walk dogs, etc., I'll need it for an hour and a half. That's just a selfish comment. I understand your reasoning for all day, good idea, but I'll need a bigger break if I'm to attend.
thoughts then?
Chair, sorry, I've just checked the diary and I didn't realise this, but there is an executive meeting in the morning, which is scheduled from 10 until 1. So we probably can't split the meeting.
Right.
And we could obviously have a break in halfway through the meeting in the afternoon. But
Yeah,
there
we
is
could
an
do that.
exec in the
Yeah.
morning.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Then let's not have a break. Okay, what about money laundering policy? I mean, are we comfortable deferring that? Yeah, Councillor Dennis.
Would it be possible just to circulate the policy that we have at the moment, just for us to read?
Yes, we can do that. I mean, we don't. This is about having sort of checks on. I mean, we don't take cash or checks anymore. But this is about just what checks and procedures we have in place to meet our money laundering responsibilities. I think we probably can get that done ahead of the 5th of March. Meeting. I'm looking at Pauline, but yes, if we can't, then we'll circulate the one that we've currently got. But yes, we would like to get that updated if we possibly can.
Okay, well, let's leave it open and see how the team goes. If we can't do it, we can defer it till the March meeting. Oh, sorry, the March, June meeting. Okay, what about Councillor Dennis, back to you.
Sorry, I'm sort of changing the subject. I just wondered what the workshop is about on the 29th of January and if there's anything that we can do as members in advance, apart from completing the skills matrix, of course.
Yeah, good question. Over to Jo then to help us understand that.
Thank you, Chair. So the process, hopefully you'll remember from last year, if for audit planning, is the 5th of March is when you're agreeing the audit plan for the year ahead. So what we want to do is give an opportunity where we can talk you through the draft plan and to get your input into that. And to do that prior to the formal meeting on the 5th of March would be really useful. So on the 29th of January, what we'd do is take you through a short presentation on the processes we've gone through already to come up with a draft plan, because very much the plan is a risk-based audit plan for the year ahead, taking into account work we've already done, any high risk that we feel we need to do more work on, our knowledge of South Hams and the control environment, any national risk. We bring in all these different issues in order to come up with a draft plan, and we want to have the opportunity to have more time to talk that through with you outside of a formal meeting, and then to get your thoughts and input into the ideas that we want to put into the plan for 26-27.
Yeah, that sounds excellent, Jo. Thank you very much. Sam, is that good? Yeah, thank you. And just to say, I actually wonder whether we're going to do that by Teams, because whether we need to be here, because actually I probably got a bit of a constraint. I don't think I can come into the office, but we can do that online, can we, Jo?
It's going to be in person, but if you would prefer to carry out the exercise online, then that's also a possibility. I can share the slides. I will have a pack, sort of a PowerPoint presentation, a short one that I will take you through. I can deliver that online if that's preferred method of communication.
Well, I mean, maybe we could do it as a hybrid meeting, because we're not voting or anything, are we? We're just getting input and giving you points for consideration. So I think I personally would find it easier. But, maybe, I don't know, Councillor Nix wants to share if you can be here physically or somebody else. So it's just a thought.
Yeah, I would prefer to be here physically, just because the skills matrix is obviously quite a complex thing and is probably better in person rather than.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's do it then. I may not, but I can zoom in. Okay. Thanks very much. So, any other points then on this proposed work plan? And just before we sort of decide, are members happy with the two things that I mentioned we are proposing to defer, which is the audit of the complaints process? Maybe we could just check exactly what that is, because there were two different opinions about what that is actually. And the second thing is this work request from Councillor Brazil. Could you just help us, Lisa, with the audit of the complaints process that we've suggested we defer?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I think that's one that probably Mr. Hawke could have helped with. I'm not actually sure what that was going to look at, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've suggested we defer it. Maybe we'll come ask him next time and then we can put it, because it won't fit in here anyway.
We could probably put it on the June or July
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, we're trying to move work to a more sensible time. Okay, unless members have got any concerns, then let's go with this, shall we?
Are we going to do money laundering as well?
Are we going to do money laundering? I think what we decided on money laundering is we'd see what the officers could do, and if they can send it around by email, good. If they can't, or if they want to defer it, we can move it till another meeting. Depends on your workload and other things.
Yeah, we're going to aim to get it done. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good. Okay. Thanks, Matt. Right. Then let's. We haven't got, just to say, we haven't got the work plan following this because it's a new council year, isn't it? So we don't see what happens after this, and we haven't even got dates for meetings yet, have we?
No, is it the March? I'm not sure if it's February or March council.
Yeah, committee dates will be agreed at the March full council meeting.
Full council. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, or should we take the motion to agree this? The Audit and Governance Committee to be recommended to approve the work plan for the remainder of the 25-26 municipal years presented in Appendix A. There we go. All those happy and in favour? Thank you very much. Okay. Right, I think that's come to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much, members. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, Chair.
Mark, yep, Joe, thank you very much. Pauline, Lisa, Steve.
Thank you.
And yeah, enjoy the rest of the year and remember to do your homework.